I just immediately tried to rinse it with regular water and it burned. Like it burned really hard. And I have good pain tolerance, but the moment the water hit my eyes, it hurt so much, it took me by surprise that it made me go like, that's how scared I was. Welcome to my first mukbang type video. This is my very first mukbang and probably my last one depending on how awkward things get. I don't know who watches my channel, but if this is the sort of thing that grosses you out, then it's not too late to leave and watch something better because there's gonna be a lot of unhealthy, greasy eating going on here. I've actually always wanted to do at least one of these at some point in my life, so today's the day. What I have here is Elbows mac and cheese, which is my second favorite mac and cheese. If you guys live around the LA area, you should definitely check them out. The one I always like to get is a wingy at mac and cheese, and they have a lot of different flavors of mac and cheese. They have a pizza one, an elote one, they have like an Italian one, a breakfast one. But this one is my favorite one because lately I've been having an unhealthy obsession with fried chicken, and this one comes with some buffalo chicken wings. It's my favorite. The other items here I've actually never tried before. What I have here is a loaded chipsticks. The way they have it on their Instagram looks really pretty. This one I kind of made it myself since it was takeout and I had all the little containers. Can't wait to try it. I also have some funnel fries, which is I think some of their newer items. The funnel fries came with some whipped cream, which unfortunately didn't survive the 80-degree weather car ride. And it also came with some strawberry dip jam stuff. So that's gonna be for like the dessert. And I also have this mac and cheese melt. It looks so good. I've always wanted to try it. It just has like some other basic mac and cheese and I think another layer of cheese on it. I don't know. I don't remember asking for the fries, but I'm glad they gave me some. So I don't know if I'm gonna finish all of this, but if I do, I'm gonna be both impressed and disappointed and I'm gonna run to the gym. But it's a mukbang, so who cares? This setup doesn't really do it justice. You have to go to their Instagram and look at the mac and cheese. Like this has been sitting, doesn't look as good, but trust me, it's like the best mac and cheese. You guys should definitely try it. Okay, well anyway, today's topic is convention horror stories and cosplay horror stories. These funnel fries are bomb, by the way. Oh my god. These are just a few handful of experiences I remember from way back. They're not that bad because I've heard some really bad horror stories. I mean, I've heard of people being stalked or their costumes breaking down, getting into drama, having a really problematic roommate. So mine aren't like to that level. So I've been lucky to have a fairly decent 8 years of going to conventions. My experiences have all been like really positive. Except for this past year at AX, every single day felt like a horror story. Well anyway, these stories are gonna be told in order from the least horrifying to the most absolutely atrocious. There's a whole potato, by the way. This is so cool. It's really yummy. Okay. So this first story is more like a mini rant of a little incident that didn't really sit well with me. I don't remember the exact year that it was, but it was the first time that AX had their very first premiere night, kind of like what Comic-Con has. And so my boyfriend and I were in line to get in. And this was, by the way, a very short 2-hour line. It wasn't like the 8-hour to full day lines that they usually have. So it wasn't really a big deal. We were about 10 people away from getting into the entrance in the back check area when I noticed this man who wasn't even in the line. He just came out of nowhere and he had like a bunch of suitcases and equipment with him, like photography stuff. He stood there for a few minutes and then little by little he started oozing into the line closer and closer. He was trying to integrate himself into the line when very obviously he wasn't. I don't know if my boyfriend noticed, but I sure as hell noticed and I was like, oh my god, it's not gonna do. I didn't want to believe that somebody would jump into a line without any consideration. And lo and behold, guess what he does? It's our turn. We're almost at the front door. The people in front of us have just gotten their bags checked. He grabs his stuff, like he picks up all his bags and then he settles down in front of me and my boyfriend. Like I said, he was nowhere near the lines. He just stood there waiting for the opportunity. And then he just stood there and waited and jumped in when he saw the opportunity. Like, who's gonna tell him anything? Because the volunteers are all high school students. And he's all like hot shit and stuff, like excuse the language, with like all important with his bags and stuff. So the volunteer called the next person up, and then I just went around him. And then I just slammed my bag like to the volunteer like that. And then he was probably like, what the fuck's wrong with her? And I think I left my boyfriend behind because he's a decent human being and I'm not. And he wouldn't behave as erratically as I did. And I could hear the photographer expressing his frustration behind me. Like if he was the victim. This is so good, seriously. But nowhere did it say that people with photography passes, with press passes, the premium pass, famous cosplayer pass, the president pass, asshole pass, or whatever, nowhere did it say that they could just jump into the regular line any goddamn time they felt like it. I mean, I would think that the premium fans or any other VIP type people would have their own line or even early entry. But no, this guy decided to just wait for the right moment and then jump into the regular commoner line whenever he saw it convenient to him. Just because he had photography shit and other stuff. To this day, I still don't know if he actually possessed like any type of special privilege pass, or if he was just being a dick and he saw that there was no security and nobody was gonna question him about it. I don't care if you have a photo shoot at 2 p.m. You're no better than a regular attendee. And if you have like a special type of pass, just go in your own line. I know it's so petty, like it's just a line cutter, what am I gonna do? I sound like the real villain here. But don't worry, because the karma's gonna hit me like a sack of potatoes and I'm gonna get everything that's coming to me in these next stories. Second story. Okay, so again, I forgot what year this happened. But I'm gonna try to condense it because it's getting to be a really long video. And we're only like 2 stories in. But one time, I saw these 2 cute girls. One of them was dressed as Tarja, and the other one was in some school uniform. I'm not sure where it was from. But I was so thrilled to see the Tarja because I was planning on doing that cosplay later that year. And I really wanted to compliment her and ask her like how she made it and stuff. I was just trying to be a nice person. And mind you, my social anxiety is like off the charts, so it took a great big deal of courage to even approach her. So I walk up to her and I said, oh my god, I like that cosplay. But before I could finish, this one guy from our friends group, he comes up to her and asks her, are you from Bible Black? And the look on the girl's face, like she was triggered. She was like, no. And I forgot what else he told her next, like, oh, have you seen it, or do you know what it is, something like that. The girls were so mortified, they just walked off. They were disturbed, I was disturbed, because from what I've gathered, apparently Bible Black is like a really creepy old anime, like hentai. Sorry, my camera stopped recording. About a bunch of hermaphrodites. And some really disturbing stuff. So we may have come off as like a couple of perverts going up to girls and comparing them to hentai and stuff. I bet those girls have their own horror story about the experience. Like about 2 weird asses just coming up to them and being all nasty. He's so funny though, this guy. His filter is like non-existent. And this is just vitamin water, by the way. I just wanted it to be in a prettier cup rather than this. Okay, the third story happened when I was Lucina from Fire Emblem. Here's a picture of me without the wig and everything I was holding, except for my phone, which I realized that I had left inside a video room. And when I realized, I freaked out, and immediately my boyfriend ran up the stairs to try to get it. And then I ran after him, or at least I tried to, because the fox leather in the Lucina boots stiffened up my knees. Obviously not meant for running. I felt like the Tin Man. All of a sudden I felt myself falling in slow motion. Like, I don't know if you guys ever experienced that, where you're falling and then you just see it, like you experience a whole fall from the beginning to the end. And then like the 10,000 things that I was holding, like they just all went flying. And then I just landed there all sprawled out like a dead body, because that's what I wanted to be when I saw like the 3250 people and civilians like just stopping what they were doing to witness this travesty that just unfolded. And I just lay there like reflecting upon my life until my boyfriend came back running and helped me up. I know it sounds like nothing, but at the time I was just done for the day. I was begging my boyfriend to take me back home. I never wanted to go back to the convention. I just didn't want to face the crowd again. I felt like my life was over. Well, speaking of social anxiety, another story I just remembered that happened this year, worth noting, was when I was alluring Secret Miku from Black Val. And it was my first time wearing such a big poofy gown. So I was losing my shit about stepping out in downtown LA, 8 a.m., no cosplayers around, a good distance away from the convention. Only like normies and families and businessmen rushing to work and typical LA stuff. I know some cosplayers can flaunt their cosplay like without any care in the world, but I do not have that superpower. But I had a photo shoot that morning, so I had to muster up the courage to get out one way or another. But I insisted to death on getting the closest parking spot I could get right to the entrance of the hotel lobby, even if it costed $25. Just walking even a few feet, like just even crossing the street in a big poofy extravagant dress, it was like death to me. And when we finally got to our expensive meter parking, I realized that I forgot to take out money from the bank. So my boyfriend had to walk to the nearest bank to take out money for me. Lord bless. Yeah, I've never been that anxious in a cosplay situation before, but now that I think of it, I just kind of laugh. Not only was I a nervous wreck that day, but I made everybody that was with me wake up at the break of dawn for my photo shoot. So I felt really bad because I was like just being a crazy person all over the place. Made myself look like a train wreck the whole time. I'm starting to feel full. At least the funnel fries are done. I'm gonna get those out of the way. Oh, another social anxiety story, which is just a small little one, not a big deal. But also happened this year. This year was just a horror story every single day. I'm not even gonna. I was dressed as the cancer cell from Cells at Work. I think I was only cancer cell cosplaying the whole convention from what I saw, but there were a ton of Cells at Work, like the red blood cell cosplays. We were walking through the exhibit hall. I doubt you've seen my AX vlog video. There's a part where I'm talking about where I want to take my pictures. I was talking about taking them in the most secluded area ever because I absolutely hate getting all the attention. Like when you're taking a picture and then like 5 people try to take your picture, just makes my anxiety skyrocket. I don't know why. So we were walking to the exhibit hall when this Cells at Work cosplay group comes up, and then I think they got overexcited and they just, one of them, I think it was a T-cell guy. He just came up and then grabbed me like that from the arms. And he was like, oh, let's take a picture, let's take a picture. And then his friends like just stopped and then they started posing with me. And I was happy about it. I was like, okay, it's just like one picture. But then all of a sudden like more Cells at Work cosplayers walked by. And then the group that was taking a picture with me, like the T-cell cosplayer, he was like, oh, come here, you guys want to take a picture? And then they joined in. They were like, sure. So then like it turned into this little mini photo shoot in front of the crowded ass exhibit hall. And I was so embarrassed because I felt like we were drawing. I also felt like we were blocking the displays of the vendor. And he was just staring at us judgmentally, like we were all posing and they were telling me, oh, okay, lay down and do this and do that. Let's take a group picture. I was like, okay. I was just saying yes to everything. I was putting on a happy face, but deep down I just wanted to run away and stop. Because again, it was like a crowded exhibit hall where people are walking like shoulder to shoulder like sardines trying to get through. And then all of a sudden there's our group like just taking a picture like we own the place, like just making a big scene. It's just too much going on. I don't like that much attention. I don't know if you guys have ever been to AX, but right in the entrance of the convention center there's this wide open area. It's very nicely lit and stuff, but that's where like a lot of the cool people, like all the cool cosplayers, go take their picture. I cannot for the life of me walk through there because I don't want 5 people to stop me and I'll take a picture. I know some people like that. Some people like having a circle of photographers all taking your picture, but I cannot do that. It's just I would feel embarrassed. Social anxiety, man. especially in the exhibit hall where you're not supposed to technically be taking pictures and causing a traffic jam. I feel like the little boy from Matilda. I am so full. We're almost at the end though. I thought that my last story was gonna be the worst one, but as I'm recounting the events of this story and reliving the moment, I'm starting to think that this might actually be the worst thing, like out of all the stories. And I just shudder at the thought of it, but I don't know. I'll let you guys be the judge of it. Ooh. I don't know if it's because I'm full, but that last piece of buffalo chicken seemed like it had like all the salt in the world in it. So this one happened the year that Coogie, the creator of Killing Stalking, was a guest at AX. Damn right, I went to go get a poster from her booth. The real her wasn't really at the convention or having to do with cosplay, but it lied within what was depicted in that poster. That's a lot of food. Now, for those of you who've never heard of Killing Stalking, I'll briefly describe what it is later on. But this was on day 4, the last day of the convention. For one reason or another, we ended up taking a different car, and I left all my AX merch, including the poster, in my boyfriend's car. And he told me, oh, it's fine, nobody even uses my car. And I was like, okay. Left all my stuff there in the passenger seat so I could just pick it up the next day. Actually, I think this was day 3 if I'm recalling correctly. But anyway, after a long day of being at the convention, we arrived back to his house that night, switched cars, and he could drop me off using his own car, and I could get my stuff. And to my horror, I noticed that the Killing Stalking poster was moved from the passenger seat to the back seat facing down. So apparently his mom and a friend had used my boyfriend's car to run errands and stuff, and they saw the poster. I felt the judgment flowing through the air and in my veins, and I just wanted to die. Let me actually see if I could find the poster. I know it's somewhere in here. Now here's the culprit right here. Does that not make you feel uncomfortable? I mean, look at it. But can you imagine, like, my boyfriend's mom is a sweet woman. She's like really nice. We have a good relationship. But imagine being a parent and seeing this in your boy's girlfriend's stack of personal things. Like, what kind of girl is my son dating? Some psychopath? Or plot twist? What if it's my son's? What kind of things is he into? Either way, it was mortifying, and I felt like I could never show my face in his house again. I mean, it's pretty normal for people in conventions to walk around with stuff like this, like waifu body pillows with like half-naked girls and cheesy yaoi posters and stuff. But this is very obviously not a typical cheesy yaoi poster. It looks like there's some serious shit going on here. When you take this sort of things out of the convention, it becomes a conversation. So Killing Stalking is a Korean psychological thriller webcomic. It's about 2 severely mentally disturbed college-aged guys that have an unhealthy partnership. This guy here has some sort of mother complex, and he dresses up this other guy in his mother's clothing and beats the absolute shit out of him. It's all kinds of controversy, honestly, and it's not for everyone, especially if you get triggered by fiction very easily. But if you've read like violent war novels, king, thriller, or horror books, and you can distinguish fiction from fact, then should be no big deal. I know we went kind of off topic, but this is a mukbang, so anything goes. I'm so full. Man, this is a long ass video, but we're at the last story, I promise. Might be the worst one. I don't know, I'll let you decide that after hearing my previous one. But this one happened at my dream convention at Fanime, and because of this I wasn't able to enjoy it, all because I was an absolute idiot and I deserve a Darwin Award for this. So on Friday I was wearing my female noise cosplay, which I've made a review about. My boyfriend was waiting out in the hall for me to get ready in the restroom. I was like just trying to get ready like a ninja, right? So I was shoving those green contacts in my eye, like without thinking to wash my hands, like all covered in makeup and touching the doorknobs and all that. And I think you could see where this is going. It was an absolute mission to get them in, as always, and I did feel like a little sting, but usually that goes away within like 5 minutes. But today it did not. For the entirety of the convention, I had the sensation that I had like a little piece of eyelash or something in my eye. My vision was getting a little bit blurry. Like, I think it was about 90% clarity. So as soon as we were able to check into our hotel at 3 p.m., which was like 4 to 5 hours after I've been wearing them, the first thing I did was I took them off. I rinsed my eyes and it was still blurry even after taking them off. But I was like, it'll probably go away the next day. And we just carried on with the convention, walking around, taking pictures, getting my pictures taken, and it was all like a great time. Even though my eyesight was still a little bit blurry and a little bit painful, I figured they'd get better in the morning after I rinsed my face and went to bed. I figured I was tired. The next morning, let me see if I could recreate what I saw when I woke up. This is approximately what it was. My left eye was 50 to 60% blurry and my right eye was just as blurry as it had been the day before. And right then, like, my heart skipped a beat. I just immediately tried to rinse it with regular water and it burned. Like, it burned really hard. And I have good pain tolerance, but the moment the water hit my eyes, it hurt so much it took me by surprise. It made me go like, that's how scared I was. And that was like at 6 in the morning. And we ended up taking a luxurious Uber trip to the nearest urgent care center. And by luxurious, I mean like $40, because I've never paid that much for an Uber. Like, the most I paid was like $12 or so for a place that was like 8 miles away. I once saw a broke people meme that said, oh, if I ever need to go to the hospital, don't call an ambulance, just Uber me to the hospital. And I used to laugh at it, but I never knew that would become so real for me. By the time I got to the first clinic, I couldn't really open my eyes that much. It was a struggle to hold my eyelid open, and it hurt so much. Like, it was probably the second worst pain I've ever felt, like physical pain. Total, from the very first one to my time of healing, it must have been about 6 different clinic trips. And the first few were in or around San Jose, since that's where Fanime took place, and we didn't have a car, so it was Uber here, Uber there. It ended up adding to a lot of money, but still better than $5,000 ambulance trip. So they eventually diagnosed me with a corneal ulcer, which is like a small little cut in the superficial part of the cornea. Had it not been diagnosed, it probably would have become infected and grown even bigger. They gave me a lot of different reasons about why it happened. Some of them were using the wrong contact size, something to do with the contact solution that I was using, something to do with like the contact actually scratching my eyeball, or maybe a combination of all of them. I think it was just bad hygiene on my part. So I ended up being confined to my bed. As you can imagine, I was pretty devastated to the point that I just wanted to cry every hour, but I didn't, because tears have a lot of sodium and lipids, and it would hurt my eye even more. So I just held back. And as I was laying down in bed, all I could think about was how I might possibly lose my eyesight, how I'm such a big inconvenience to my boyfriend, how much money went into this trip that was just all a waste, that I didn't get to enjoy my dream convention, and that I didn't get to debut my Miku cosplay that I worked so hard on. But I eventually did, and I expected. And I had some finals coming up in a couple of days, and I could not do shit but just lay there and think about life. Not knowing what time it is, not being able to sleep. And it didn't help that your hotel neighbors were also 5-year-old crying kids and moaning ladies all night long. Made me wish my ears also got infected that day. The 3rd and 4th days were the absolute worst, because my eyelids were completely debilitated. so they were shut tight and it was excruciating to even try to force them open. But it was even worse when I somehow managed to hold them open and they would put in the eye drop. Like, that liquid would sting like absolute hell. I would dread having to put those eye drops in every hour. Since both of my eyelids were practically glued shut, I wasn't able to move on my own. I had to be wheelchaired through the airport, it was an experience because I never thought I'd need one until I'm like 90. I immediately, the very first thing I did was start studying for my finals. And I ended up doing relatively well. But anyway, bringing it back to the theme of cosplay, I just wanted to bring attention to the dangers of using cosmetic contacts. My injury could have been a lot worse, but as you can see, it managed to heal and I could see it 99% clearer now. It took about a month for it to heal completely. Now, I'm not saying all cosmetic contacts are dangerous. They can be absolutely safe if you talk to your optometrist and you get your proper eye measurements, get the correct lens size, and if you use proper hygiene and extreme care when putting them on, and don't put them on in the restroom in a big rush with your fingers covered in makeup and debris like I did. I honestly never thought it would happen to me, but it did. Also, huge props to my boyfriend who was there for me the entire time and helped maneuver me around places. It was thanks to him that I didn't bump or fall a single time during my 4-day blind experience. We kept cracking jokes the entire time and he always made me feel assured when I wasn't sure what was gonna happen. My mom also helped me through my recovery and my doctors were all super nice. Like, even though I probably walked in there looking like an idiot, like, oh, I was trying to put on some colored contacts and I ended up cutting my eyeball. Well, except maybe the last lady, she kind of put it to me straight. She was like, oh, I hope you're not trying that again. Needless to say, I ended up throwing away all my contact lenses, which made me really sad because they were so beautiful and they did me so well up to that point. And they were also so expensive. They look so pretty in pictures, so I'm gonna miss them a lot. But I could just no longer take the risk with any type of colored contact after what happened. Just in case you guys were curious, I want to take some precautions. The lenses were from Unixo, which have always been really good to me. They've never given me any problems until now, so I'm not telling you guys to stay away from them. I absolutely do not blame them, more so I blame myself. And I still think that all cosplayers could wear any type of contact lens responsibly at their own expense. But my eye color journey ends here. Okay, that's pretty much the end of this story time / mukbang video. I didn't finish all of it, but I am gonna save it because it was so good and I'm actually hungry again. I might finish that later in a couple hours. At first I was actually embarrassed to actually publish these stories, but then I realized that nobody really watches. I don't really have any sort of social media presence, so it doesn't really matter who watches it. But if you made it to the end of this video, I hope you had a good laugh and I hope you learned from my mistakes and never get into these types of situations. Okay, believe it or not, there is actually one more horrific, absolutely atrocious story that is 10 times worse than all the previous one I've said before. It happened as recently as this year, and it's so extreme I'm probably never gonna disclose it publicly on here. Unless I'm like a super hot supermodel with 3 billion net worth and holding 2 puppies in my hand, then I could probably get away with telling a story like this. Or when I'm a 90-year-old retired old lady in the Netherlands that doesn't give a shit about my past life anymore. It's that bad, okay? I've only heard one horror story on here that came even close to being as bad. Actually, it might have been a little worse than mine, but it was around the same level. And I applaud that girl for putting that out there. I wish I could do that, but the time is not right now. I mean, it's not super bad to the extreme. It's not like a felony or a murder, except the murder of my soul or my will to live that day. But anyway, thank you for sitting through this. If you're a cosplayer, I hope you enjoy your future conventions. And if you're a mukbanger, I hope you enjoyed the display of food, and definitely check out Elbows Mac and Cheese and incorporate it into your life. Thanks for watching. Bye.